يعطيكم العافية الربع وحياكم الله بمقابلة جديدة، وهالمرة مع أليستر دانكن اللي هو مثل دور ميمير بجود اوف وور، ومثل دور كاليبرمبر بشادو اوف وور وشادو اوف موردر، وأيضا سنتر أرمسترونج بمثل جير رايزنج، وطبعا عنده أدوار كثير. بالمقابلة هذه راح نسولف معاه عن مسيرته بشكل عام وعن جود اوف وور، فإن شاء الله إنه يعطينا أشياء كذي من تحت الطاولة هنتات. المهم اللي بقوله أن الحلقة هذه راح يكون عليها جيف اواي مقدم من دريم ستيشن. الجيف اواي راح يكون على النسخة الخاصة من God of War اللي هي الكوليكتر اديشن. كل اللي عليك تسويه انك تضغط لايك، تشترك، وتكتب كومنت تحت. خلونا نشوف المقابلة. Oh, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Well, it is an honor to have you.
Thank you. I'm proud that you think that. That's lovely. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. First of all, it is an honor to have you here on our channel. We are very excited to play the God of War Ragnarok.
Yes. I think it's going to be amazing. I just everything I've seen is phenomenal.
Okay, so can you tell us, sir, how did you enter the world of voice acting in video games?
I entered the world of voice acting by being British in Los Angeles, and they were looking for. I'd started doing voices, in film, doing ADR in film and TV, and then that took me to just getting, a voiceover agent and getting auditions for things. And then the big break came with Shadow of Mordor.
Celebrimbor,
yeah. And before that, I played lots of, I played, Russians, French, everything. I played all sorts of different, villains, guys, but definitely secondary or tertiary characters. And then with that one, which came out of the blue, suddenly that was a game changer, and I got into. I was being seen for and being offered far bigger jobs, essentially. I guess before that, the playing Alfred for in the Batman
series.
Yeah, that helped me with animation, and then Celebrimbor gave me a different. With video games, I just started doing a lot more with them after that. So it was definitely there was a progression. As always, it's little things that become bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so there you go. That's a long, boring story.
Okay, so what was the favorite character you performed in your career in video games? I think Celebrimbor, right?
Well, actually, I love Mimir as well. Mimir is so much fun to play.
Yes.
Celebrimbor, because he was a good guy and a bad guy at the same time, and that was really interesting to play because he was sort of amoral at the same time as he wanted to, he was out there to actually sort of save the world, but he would sacrifice anything to do it. So he was really interesting to play. And Mimir, because he's the smartest man in the world, and it's
smartest
like
man alive.
and I, get carried around on Kratos's arse, bouncing. And the dynamic between me and him,
yes,
and Freya, which is, and the dwarves it's been fun to play with. It's been really fun to have that.
It is amazing.
And then, interestingly for me, one of the characters I'm most recognized for is Senator Armstrong.
Yes, Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, Metal Gear Rising. Which, 13 years on, or 10 years, 11 years on, it's still the one that people, get in touch with, and they want me to do that voice.
Yes. I think he was one of the best villains we saw in video games.
He certainly seems to have had an effect. People certainly love him. So, you know what? I feel lucky to have done them all. And Alfred, I love. Playing Alfred. I play Alfred. I played Alfred in a video game 4 weeks ago. I was playing him again, and he's a character I've played most. And he's a character who I think there's there's opportunities there for him which have never been mined, and I would love to actually. Hopefully someday I'll get to sit down with one of the creative people at DC's and see whether any of my ideas will actually resonate and they could actually use them. So,
okay, so God of War is considered one of the industry biggest names in modern video games. Did you know how successful it was, whether during the participation in God of War Ghost of Sparta or God of War 2018?
God of War Ghost of Sparta, no. I mean, I knew that it was really successful, and it was an amazing franchise. But when we came into it in 2018, it was like they were reinventing the wheel. They were reinventing the character,
doing something new.
Doing something new. You know, my character completely for him to actually have a sidekick and a son. It was crazy. So we didn't know what it was going to be until the fans saw it, and then suddenly it just exploded. And I believe that I hope and I believe the same thing is going to happen with this game, because again, it's going to go places that that'll be unexpected. I was sort of taken up by surprise by it, because I've never had that, that sort of reaction to a game. That it was, the year award. It was like, what? Okay, fantastic. And then come back and to do it again, and and just the enthusiasm for it. It's been great. It's been great.
Okay, so can you tell us the story? How did you get the role of Mimir?
I got the role of Mimir. They called me in, and I met with the writer. Matt was there. I think he was the only writer there. And there's the scene where Mimir gets his head cut off in the game, and that was the audition scene. And it was in a sound studio, and there were all everybody from Sony was there in a big line, sitting behind desks, and I was like. And I just said, I'm supposed to be talking to somebody here. I'm going to talk to you. And I played the whole scene with Matt, which I think might have made him a little bit uncomfortable, because it's really intense. And the character was Scottish. I made him Scottish, and that was it. And that's what made it work. And it just worked. And I knew it had worked. They knew it had worked. It was so much fun. And that was the moment.
Okay, so were there any difficulties you faced while playing the role?
Yeah, so I mean, you've seen motion capture, you've seen performance capture.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So because I had to be there for just because the way that Mimir speaks is very specific, so you can't have somebody. But I couldn't be on the soundstage because I couldn't be hanging off Chris the bell. So I literally and I was also, they were all in the suits, and I was just in, I just had a helmet on with the big, just a head.
Yeah, the small dots.
The small dots, exactly. And so I would I'd have to be as close to the action as I could be, getting in the way of everybody who was, and then when my lines came, I would say my lines. And everybody, when I was speaking, was either supposed to be looking at the fake head that was sitting on a table, or looking at Kratos's belt, or looking at his arm or something. But when I spoke, everybody would just turn around to me. I'm over there. I'm over. And it was like, I'm sorry, it ruined so many takes, because everybody knew who came on the set. They always did we said, okay, the first few takes are going to be turn around to Alice until people. So that, and also for me, because I'm talking to them, and I'm having but I'm not. They're not looking at me when they talk to me. So for me as an actor, it's like I was sort of always wanting to get into the eye line, but knew that if I did, it was going to mess things up. So it's interesting. It's interesting to play it. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think of the change that happened to the series, whether in gameplay or character development, from the first 3 games to God of War 2018? How Kratos changed from vengeful, angry guy to a father?
I think it was brilliant, because I think it was real. I think that's what made it so successful. Suddenly you had it with the initial iteration of God of War. You had as you say, you had a vengeful, angry, unstoppable force. And with the new iteration, he's pretty unstoppable. but he's older and he's wiser and he's got something to lose.
He's a father.
He's a father. He's a father, and he wants to protect that at the same time as he wants to protect that, and he wants to stop being that, to let go of that anger, but he can't, because that's part of who he is. So it's he has a real journey. He goes on a real journey. Before it was a real journey of revenge. This time it's a real journey of discovery, which is so cool.
You know, a lot of people thought that this was risky for the game, because because people admired the first games, and now it's like the whole tone is gonna change. Yeah. And I think Corey did a great job.
Oh, he did an amazing job. Just amazing. It was brilliant. What he achieved, what the whole team achieved, and what his vision was. And we're looking forward to this one, and hopefully the vision will carry on, and it will be an equally great achievement.
Okay, so all the players praised the way you tell stories, especially in the boat.
Yes.
What was your favorite one?
Oh no, I could not say. I loved them all. What I loved about doing the stories was, and I know when they wrote they initially wrote a couple of them, and they were like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And I loved telling them. I loved the fact that I could be involved, that I had a connection with the stories, which was why I was telling them, because they were important to me, to the character. And it was just so much fun to do. And I did them all in, I don't know, 2 or 3 takes. It was literally just, it didn't take forever to do them, even though they were really long, because they all were wonderfully written. And it was great material to be able to say and to express. And I know that was one of people's, I know that people went back in the game just to listen to the story. So I was like, that's right. A great, because most people in that sort of situation, the important thing is to play the game, to get through, and to finish it, to get to the end. And those are a distraction, but they weren't. They were actually a really important part of the game. So I'm proud of that, definitely.
A lot of people stayed on that boat to hear the stories.
I know, which is crazy. Okay, I'm glad.
Okay, so did you need to delve into Norse mythology to play the role of Mimir?
I did to a certain extent, to understand what was going on. But I'd always been, as a kid, Thor was one of my favorite characters. So, through the Marvel comics, I delved in there. And then I just somehow or other picked up Norse mythology over time. And I knew a lot about the gods. I wasn't, Balder and Freya, I had to learn more about them. Valkyrie, all of that, but it was a constant education, being in the set and just asking questions about, actually, okay, what is going on here? Why are they there? It was interesting to actually learn all about that mythology, I enjoyed it.
Okay, so will we hear more stories in the upcoming games?
You will. Well, I'm not going to give anything away.
That's good. But we will hear some stories.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. Yes.
Okay, so the final question is, will the next game be more in depth, and we will see more character development for the main characters?
Oh yes. Yeah. That's what worked so well in the first one, and it's so important that they don't just remain stuck where they were. And that was what was so interesting for the coming into it, finding out where the characters were going to go and who's, all of their different journeys. And they are, I think you're going to be taken by surprise.
So there is a big surprise.
I hope everybody's going to be taken by surprise. That's the whole point. It's like with the previous game, the surprise
was at the end.
the surprise was all the way through. The surprise was when you first saw Kratos and you saw his son. That was a huge surprise for everybody playing the game. And then the surprises continued all the way through. So I hope that that is going to. I'm going to tell you now. That is going to happen this time around as well. They're going to be big.
That's
good. Okay.
That's good. Okay, so do you have a message for your fans in the Middle East?
You know, I've just got to say thank you. Thank you for playing this game. Thank you for enjoying it. Thank you for being interested enough to have me on and listen to me. And I hope someday I will get out there and can meet you all.
We hope so. We hope so. It will be our honor, sir.
Thank you. It will be my honor too. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.